Carl Jones, who joins us. Carl, former Syracuse defensive back, product of Cleveland, on Channel 4 these days. I've got questions about all these. Actually, I don't have any questions about Channel 4, Carl. Good morning. How are you?
You have Cleveland questions?
I'm locked and loaded with some Cleveland chatter, Carl. You ready?
I listen. If you stay ready, you don't got to get ready. What's up, guys?
Beautiful. What's up, Carl? So, NBA season starts tonight. You're a Cavs fan, right? The question I've got for you is did the Cavs have the kind of season last season that ruined good seasons? Because they were amazing and didn't win, and now if you're amazing again, it's like the Bills these days.
Well, also, I think I haven't looked in a while, but I think they are the Eastern Conference favorites going into the year.
Oh, yes. I think there are a lot of similarities between the Bills and Cavs fans. Obviously, the Cavs got over the hump.
That's right. They got that title.
But we've had so much success post-LeBron now where winning the opening round or even getting to the Eastern Conference Finals probably isn't enough. You have to go. I'm not saying winning everything, but you got to go to the finals to at least make this season to be a success from a fan perspective.
Yeah, and then that's the Bills' world these days too. Like, it's tough. Pressure is a privilege is one of the things they say. So, Carl, I guess let's take it to the Bills here. Are these October blues, these lulls that we've seen a couple times throughout the Sean McDermott and Josh Allen and Brandon Beane era? Is this one the same old, or does this one have you maybe thinking a little bit harder?
I think it's probably a little bit of both, but I would lean towards it's the NFL. The league is hard, and there's going to be some lulls in a 17-game season. Obviously, not every single – when you look at the offensive side of the ball, styles make fights. We talk about that all the time, and I thought that, at least from the Patriots' perspective, the Patriots have the type of guys on defense that make the style a little bit more difficult to have down-to-down success with how the Bills are equipped on offense. You know, the Bills are kind of best inside out, and the Patriots are really good on the perimeter, and they can get a four-man rush at times. And, you know, the Bills just struggle pushing the ball down the field. I think we've all seen that at this point. The Falcons, I think, was just a combination of everything on offense. They sent the blitz. They couldn't pick it up. When they did run the ball, they didn't stick with it. I'm not all too concerned, but my antennas are up on some of the things for the rest of the season.
How much of that was Joe Brady? Did you watch the Niners game, Carl, at all and think about – because all they did was just McCaffrey pounding it up the middle, and maybe that got Atlanta out of being so aggressive that maybe McDermott even said this a little bit, that they should have leaned into Cook more because of what the Falcons were specifically on defense?
Yeah, you can't blitz when it's 2nd and 2. You can't blitz when it's 3rd and 1 all the time. I think that had a lot to do with it. I'll say one thing about the whole McCaffrey and Shanahan dynamic. He does not mind whatsoever giving him the rock. I think that Thursday night game a few weeks back where they were down to the top 3 receivers, no Kittle, and if I'm not mistaken, McCaffrey had like 21 touches at halftime. like he was giving him the ball out, slot outside, whatever the case may be. And I think there's something to be said about you have a clear-cut best player and just giving him the rock because he's your best chance to succeed. And I do think, or I'm hopeful after the bye week, I'm not saying 21 times and a half. I was feeling bad for poor old CMC at one point in the second quarter. But James Cook is by far and away their best weapon. Find out some advantageous ways to give him the rock, not just, dives up the middle, but whether it's, quick screens or jailbreak screens, whatever the case may be. Find a way to get Ford the ball more often because he's super dynamic when it's in his hands.
Carl Jones joining us on the Western Hotline. All right, Carl, to the playmaker idea on this offense that they need somebody to step up, maybe somebody new. Are you of the belief that adding is something Brandon Beane should be looking into?
Definitely looking into. I think that the offense, in my opinion, is still great without it. But I think once you get to the postseason when the margins are super, super thin and it's a matchup-based league, having a guy on the outside that can supercharge everything will be super beneficial. And I think, obviously, everyone's talked about Chris Olave, but that archetype of player where he is a separator, he is explosive with the ball in his hands, he can take the top off of the defense, that type of player could take this offense to a different stratosphere where it's really difficult to game plan against them week in and week out. From a defensive back perspective, and I'm playing the Buffalo Bills, I don't know if they have a weapon on the outside where it makes me change the structure of my defense. I don't think I have to double anyone on third down. I don't think that I have to be fearful of blitzing because a lot of times as a DB or as a defensive coordinator, you're scared to send 5, 6 blitzers because there's a guy out there that's one-on-one. If he breaks the tackle, it's one to the house. Khalil Shakir could be that guy, but I don't know if he's the player who I'm changing the way I call my defense type of thing. So I think that having an Olave or having any other upper-tier receiver would at least change the structure of how I play defense and maybe give some pause, and not just the players on the field, but the DC upstairs calling the plays as well.
How many ideas out there do you like? I mean, Saints fans are probably hearing the entire NFL, circle, the vultures circle for Olave and Shaheed as well, who is an explosive downfield kind of guy. Beyond those two, Carl, there's not I don't like the Tyler Lockett idea. He just got waived. Ridley, there's expensive ideas out there, and I don't know what the right idea is. Last year, Devontae Adams and Amari Cooper end up moving, and this year, I don't know who it'll be. To me, after Olave and Shaheed, it gets pretty thin.
Very, very thin. Now, also, Devontae Adams, less so Amari Cooper, that was a little bit more obvious. Like, that was more so like he was disgruntled but not making it public. Amari Cooper, well, the Browns were just toxic last year, so I'm not going to say that I'm not too surprised that he got moved. But, I mean, the whole A.J. Brown thing, I think, is just us on the outside, just trying to get him an opportunity where he can get the ball 15 times a game. I don't think that's really feasible. They're trying to compete for a Super Bowl. I saw the Ridley thing 4 years ago maybe, and I don't think he's a bad player now, but I think that is too close to the Amari Cooper route, where if a guy is a little bit closer to the end, where it can get a little scary in the back end. There's not a lot of moves that are exciting at receiver, which is unfortunate because I think that is really a move, in my opinion, where I wouldn't be scared to give up a second or even a 1 to make things shake.
What's your concern level for Coleman specifically, and whether or not there's not maybe many options behind him? Maybe it's Shavers and Gabe Davis or more Palmer, but how concerned are you with Coleman's start to the year, other than really that fourth quarter against Baltimore?
I don't think I'm too concerned because I didn't have the highest of expectations in the first place. I don't think he's a bad player, but I thought, at least to this point, he's about maybe a little tick below the player that I thought. I didn't think that he was going to be some wide receiver 1 in the NFL. And to be fair, I have a high threshold for that anyways. I think there are only like 12 to 14 of those on planet Earth anyways. But I don't think his archetype of receiver is conducive to a player where I can pepper him 11, 12, 15 times a game, or you see what they did to Jackson Smith and Jigga last night. I just don't think that archetype is feasible. So I know what they said this offseason. I know what they said this preseason and training camp and all that good jazz where he looked better than ever. I just wanted to see it to believe it. And I think there are going to be some peaks and valleys with a player who isn't the greatest separator, and he plays above the rim at times, but it's not really consistent. It's hard to get a guy the ball like that down in and down out. Hopefully he develops some more consistency. That would be very beneficial to the Bills' offense. But I'm not about to sit up here and lie and say that I thought he was going to turn into DeAndre Hopkins all the time either.
Carl, it ends up sounding harsh, but I want to ask it this way. Do you think they'd benefit from stop trying to force it to happen with him?
Yes. And I think that just I'm not the quarterback, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I watched the film and know Josh Allen's breed from 1 to 4. But I think that unless you see a matchup on field where that cornerback, gets a red dot treatment, and for those at home, that means when you're in the film room, you circle that little poor player on the field and be like, yes, this is a matchup problem. Unless it's one of those issues, I wouldn't force it because I think we all saw the Atlanta game, and you can say what you want about Keon Coleman. A.J. Terrell is one of those dudes with a capital D. We shouldn't be attacking him. We shouldn't be doing that.
Carl,
that really might be where that's 2 weeks in a row, right? Because the Christian Gonzalez-led corner group in New England that Joe Brady called maybe the best we'll see all year, and then it goes right to A.J. Terrell. Carl, what I might wonder when we think about the Bills for playoff matchups or how they match up versus Kansas City or Indy, who are your corners? Because maybe what's kind of gone wrong in 2 consecutive games is if you've got a top-tier corner, you can really cause the Bills problems, but not every team is going to have corners of that caliber.
No, and I think the Colts, they're also missing Mooney Ward right now. He got that severe concussion last week in warm-up, so hopefully he gets back to the field soon. I know he got placed on IR. But that goes back to my conversation, which I said earlier, though. If you have a top-tier corner where you can basically just play 10 on 10 and just eliminate that receiver in front of you, it doesn't change the structure of your defense. And you can get really funky. You watched what the Texans did last night, and listen, the Texans defense played phenomenal in that second half. But they were doing such a good job of moving Jackson Smith and Jigba away from Derek Stingley that they had to change the structure of how they played defense down in and down out just to accommodate and find out a way to stop down to slow number 11. And that's where when I see the Bills right now and teams playing up against them, they aren't changing how the safeties play, or they aren't changing how they get after the quarterback because there's not really a weapon on the outside to put the fear of God in them.
Carl Jones on the Western Hotline. All right, Carl, to the defense. It feels like a lot of the offensive people who want a trade for the offense are doing it because with the defense, they're kind of like throwing their hands up. Like, I don't know what's going to happen over there. They're getting some bodies back with Michael Hoyt, Larry Ogunjobi. They designate Max Harrison to return. The big talking point about this defense, though, has been safety in corner two. So, all right, maybe the plan's in place for corner two. What are they going to do with safety, and what should they do?
You gotta. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
know. I think there's been a few games where the safeties have played okay. Cole Bishop had a really good game against the Saints, and even the week before that, I thought he played well. But then, obviously, last week against Atlanta in Week 1, it wasn't his best outing. And then Taylor Rapp, I think, has taken a step back this season, which I'm sure the coaching staff isn't excited to see. You'll probably see more Jordan Poyer throughout the rest of the year if it sticks with this. I know a lot of people are clamoring for Jordan Hancock. I'm an Ohio State guy, so I would love to see that myself. But if Jordan Poyer has already passed him, I don't see a route where Jordan Hancock passes Poyer again type of deal. So I think Poyer's going to get some reps. And listen, they could make a trade, but I would be shocked if they get the caliber of safety on the trade market where they will feel comfortable supplanting Taylor Rapp or Cole Bishop or even a Jordan Poyer, because you know how much Sean McDermott believes and feels about trusting his defense, right, where they've got to execute the call and know you're 111. It's kind of hard to get that guy mid-season and make that work.
Poyer tempt you at all? I mean, like for big games down the stretch. I don't know if we really saw enough of him in Atlanta to gauge that. You could go back to Miami, but there's system differences there. I mean, we were talking about this last week, Carl, that like Rapp, if they were to ever bench him, he might be the most high-profile player or high-profile starter that they've ever taken out of the lineup for playing reasons.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I don't think Jordan Poyer showed anything to make me thrilled that he could go out there and fix the secondary issue right now. But I think it doesn't hurt to try. I mean, you also owe it to the other 21 starters out there on the field to get to, try your best to win week in and week out. And they just have an issue right now. It's the fundamentals, which is the most concerning point. And listen, I couldn't tackle in space either. That's why I'm talking to y'all on the phone right now and not preparing for a game on Sunday, okay? But that is a skill set that is really, really is needed. You have to do it. It's a must requirement in the National Football League, especially when your front seven is boom or bust. You know, we saw in the statistics where the Bills' defense is actually somewhat decent at preventing getting negative plays. But, boy, Lord have mercy, they're giving up a ton of explosive plays, and that's where you need your guys in the back end and bring them down. I'm not saying it's easy. I know I wouldn't tackle Bijan Robinson. I wasn't tackling guys who didn't play on Sundays, let alone him. But you have to do it in the National Football League to be a good defense.
Carl, the rest of the AFC, what's your feel on it right now? The Colts are at the top spot, and the Chiefs are still not in the playoff picture. But what will it look like by the time we get to January?
I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, now that they're finally healthy on offense. Although, praying for Josh Simmons and whatever's going on in that situation. So I guess they are missing one starter, but they're rolling right now. Rasheed Rice is back, and I think that the offense that we kind of expected we would see in the offseason. The Colts, I'm intrigued, and I think they're really good. My final test for them, I want to see what happens when they are down 10 and when Daniel Jones has to drop back basically the entire second half and maybe take Jonathan Taylor out the game as a safety button type of deal. But I think they're for real. I mean, they have weapons all over the field. Their offensive line is playing great. Lou Anarumo did not forget how to coach. I don't know who's spread that rumor this offseason and blame him for the Bengals woes last year. But he has that defense flying around, even with a lot of starters out. So I like the Colts. I think they're for real. My last test before I put them in any Super Bowl bucket or whatever the case may be, if they are down 10, let's say 17-7 at halftime, can Daniel Jones get them back into a game without relying on play action pass every other snap?
Yeah, they really haven't. I'm trying to think. Not even the Denver game. Like, they really haven't been behind. Haven't they had, like, even multi-touchdown leads in almost every game they've played so far? Which, like, that might just be the game script to avoid against them. Like, just don't get behind, and maybe you can force them into things that they don't want to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not saying this is the Colts' fault. Like, they're kicking tail, and that's what they're supposed to do.
Right.
But before I put you in a bucket where I think you can play in February, there are going to be games where you're behind. How do you do in those moments?
Yeah. You know, Carl, it's funny. It's a lot of what have you done for me lately in the league. That's my concern about the Bills right now. Even though they had the comeback against the Ravens, like, the Bills get to 30 when they're doing exactly what you're saying, like run the ball, play action it. And these last couple games, they've led for a total of 2 minutes and 47 seconds. They have not looked like a team that can, get those chunks and get those plays whenever they want to. I know they like to say they can, but these last two games, they've not looked like that. It's been kind of revealing about the game script and how it can even hurt a team like the Bills.
Yeah, going into the Ravens week, we're all of the assumption that this is a vaunted defense with all these Pro Bowl names. They got Jair Alexander. We're coming to find out that defense is a hot mess. And I'm not trying to take credit away from the Bills, but that just adds some context to the type of performance they had week one. I would like to see it too. And listen, this isn't college football, so I'm not going to bring up the whole strength of schedule thing, but they also haven't really had for whatever you think about the Patriots, they aren't in that Super Bowl bucket yet. So I think that's where, as the season goes on, where you have the Chiefs coming up in 2 weeks. You got the Eagles later on in the year. Those would be some tests where I wanted to see how this team looks before I completely, once again, put the Bills in a bucket either, because you're right, it is what have you done for me lately. And maybe teams have found the blueprint. I don't know. I don't think that's the case. But I just want to see what they do against some of those better teams on the schedule, because, I don't think no one on this chat right now would think that the Falcons or the Patriots are going to be playing in February. And that's where, if you're a Bills fan, you're like, oh, okay, antennas are up a little bit.
You said Chiefs best team in the AFC. NFL? Somebody else? You like the Chiefs? What do you like?
I probably still lean Chiefs. Having said that, the Lions, if they are healthy, because, this will sound like a broken record at this point, the Lions, there's the two teams in football, they're always hurt, the Lions and 49ers.
Yeah.
If the Lions get one of their 6 corners back, they're down 5-6 corners right now. Rocky Ya-Sin, the dude who they just signed a couple weeks ago, he got hurt yesterday. So if they get healthy, I would put them right next to the Chiefs, and then any given Sunday let things shake. I know the Chiefs gave it to them last week, but it's hard to play against Patrick Mahomes without any healthy corners, any. So I would probably put those two at the top. I know the Eagles had a good game last week, but they still Jekyll and Hyde. I'm scared to put them anywhere near the top.
Yeah. I love that game the Lions and Chiefs played 2 weeks ago on the Monday night or Sunday night, whatever. It was such high-level football. It was great. So, I don't know. Hopefully we don't see those two in the Super Bowl, because I don't want to see the Chiefs back there again, but we could. All right, Carl, well, thanks as always. Great to chat, and we'll catch up soon.
Thank you. You guys have a good one.
All right, good luck to your Cavs, too. Good season. Get to the finals. Carl Jones, Channel 4 in Buffalo, joining us in the Western Hotline.